So you guys are buyer's agents and listing agents, right?
Yeah.
But we are going to talk through some of the worst things that sellers can do so that your sellers have done it or you've seen it when you're showing properties that is total ick.
Okay.
Okay?
Like left their underwear on the floor?
Whatever it is, let's go.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
Like there's no toilet in the master and they want top dollar? That
Maybe.
kind of stuff? There's water dip? I'll just stop. Go ahead.
Carpet being pulled up on the floor. I don't know if I was with you on this one once, but fly traps hanging from the ceiling in the kitchen.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful one.
I love the animal one. Just tons of dogs and cats like living inside. And the second you open that door, what's the Febreze commercial? That's like, you just get kicked in the face. You become
nose blind?
Nose blind? I'm sorry. People love their animals and they love them inside. I'm not that person. Animals belong outside to me, but I mean, walking into a house that's got animals in it that's brutal. That's tough.
Not my Charlie.
There you go.
Who was it? Somebody was your seller confirming a listing appointment, but then not leaving and being naked in the shower when people come to show the house. That's awkward.
We've had one, it wasn't ours, but it was an agent on our team, had one that like the house just reeked of marijuana. The oldest son, he was in his mid-20s, was down in the basement and wouldn't get out. She would cancel showings because she didn't want to wake the full-grown son that's downstairs smoking weed. That one's fun to sell.
What are yours?
So mine are Icks that agents do, which is they leave lights on when they show the property, or they show up 30 minutes late for a showing and your sellers have gotten all their kids and everybody out of the car. Those two I really hate.
Not locking doors.
Yes, or they leave a door unlocked.
Or open.
Or open. Yep, open. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Or they can't use like the key fob or the lock on the door
properly.
I mean, pretty self-explanatory.
I think the disservice though here is the fact that everything we just mentioned is a conversation that should be had up front with sellers, and that we shouldn't even be coming across any of this. So I remember one, you might remember this one, every buyer that came through the listing, the seller would sit on the couch and hold their dog with the dog leash. And the buyers just simply cannot imagine themselves in that house. And quite frankly, they took thousands of dollars less.
Yeah.
Because of it.
Because you feel like you're being like watched. You can't just go through and like
picture yourself in the home. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mine to tag on that is like cameras everywhere.
Oh.
Like that's weird. Like your buyer can't really fully get comfortable and like see themselves in there because they're just constantly being watched. So I would take your cameras out. I would also tag anybody in this podcast. Like if you know somebody that's like, oh man, you have all those dogs in your house, they like forward them this podcast. It'll help them out. But
so what do you say? Like if you go into a house and because we say it's our job to have tough conversations
100%.
sometimes.
Yes. All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not one that's just like, oh, that's fine.
What do you say to a seller or even a buyer that you're going to show a home? So you have a conversation with the buyers ahead of time. And do you preface it like, so we're going to go into homes that might smell like cat pee or might have yellow walls or fly strips hanging from the ceiling. What do you tell them?
I tell them that's a sign of a deal.
Okay.
So if they can look past things that other people can't, there is likely a deal to be had
for sure
behind the end of that.
Yeah, because you're looking for location or floor plan, whatever, air, pool. And then what do you tell your sellers that have a yellow wall?
I tell them that they're paying me a lot of money to be representing them, and that it is my job to make sure that they're completely aware of all the possibilities of issues in their house. And so we actually have a staging company come through, and she writes them a list from top to bottom of the issues, And at that point, we decide on a scale of a 1 to 10, what is the condition of your house if a model is a 10, and if they say it's a 6, then we need to price it like a 6. So do they want the price of a 6 or do they want the price of an 8? And we can't make that decision, right?
No.
But they're making the decision, and it's just the price has to reflect that 6 or 8.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who ultimately get to decide.
Because then you're going to come in, not you with your sellers, but the buyers are going to come in with somebody, and they're going to be looking at it if their agents prepped them for this deal.
Well, I think Heather brought up a valuable comment there, is that they pay you good money to have these conversations with them. Their goal as a seller, we'll talk sellers right now, is to sell the house. Now, yes, they want to maximize top dollar, and that's our goal, is to get them top dollar in their time frame, all that good stuff. But the top dollar is what the market will allow and what the condition of their house will allow. But if you're not giving them that feedback, I mean, they're gonna be super caught off guard when they get feedback from buyers, and they're gonna look at you and be like, I didn't know about any of this. A lot of sellers are willing to make those changes. You know, if you go in and say, I sensed a little bit of animal urine, you know, however you want to nicely put that, but you gotta tell them. And a lot of them, you know, they're nose blind for breeze. They don't know it, but will they fix it? Yeah, throw some candles or wash the carpets or something, right? Like, you can make some changes, but they do need to know that stuff. I've never lost a listing on just being honest, being respectful, but being honest. More often than not, they're like, "Oh my, thank God for telling me." You know, now I can do something about it. So they want to hear that feedback, whether they're gonna like it or not. They want to hear it. They need to hear it.
Well, because if we're telling them it's our job to be honest and have difficult conversations, and then we don't say something, but an agent comes and gives feedback, why didn't you tell me?
Right.
They'd rather hear it from us, who they trust, than somebody else. So.
And in a market of low showings, every showing matters. And so you can't wait for another agent to give you that feedback, because that could be your buyer you just missed out on.
Well, they are the buyers, and they're the ones that turned your house down, and that feedback is actually very valuable if they will give you that constructive feedback, because then you know what you need to do to attract those buyers.
So what are the 3 biggest things, taking all of these things into consideration for sellers, let's say, for instance, what are the 3 most important things that you could arm a seller with to avoid the ick?
Right. So number 1, I would say you're competing against models, so your house has to look like a model, right? So the condition. So when you walk into your house unbiased, or go look at a model home, right? Go look in there. That's what all the buyers are looking at right now anyways. That's what we're competing against. Go in there. What does that look like, and how can I make my house match that?
Okay.
That'd be my first one.
Okay.
What else do you guys think?
Do you advise them? I always try to be really cognizant of their money, right? They're looking to sell this for a reason. So what are the best things that I can do to maximize their net without paying upfront if not necessary? So I think an easy one, if possible, is painting. I'm not talking about cabinets, and there's not, I think painting can open a room up and make it feel fresh. And also, when you're nose blind, a fresh coat of paint changes things. So if needed, and if they have the ability to paint, even if it's just a main living space, and sometimes that means brightening it up, or if something is so stark white, adding something to soften it.
I think those are very excellent. Staging is huge right now. Even Gary Keller a year ago stood up and one of his big topics, his push points was every house being listed right now should be staged, 100%. Or at least have a stager go through it. There's so much value in our listings being sold. We can show you numerous times of how we've taken expired listings from other agents who unfortunately couldn't sell it. We've had those, we've staged them, we've done the things we've talked about, and they get under contract within 1 to 3 weeks, and they've been on the market for 6 months up to a year. Heather had one that was up to a year. We got it, staged it, did some minor things to it, and went under contract less than 21 days
Yeah.
in this market.
Yep.
So, I mean, like, staging is huge. We talked about the condition has to match the price. I mean, but having those conversations is there's value in those tough conversations.
Yep.
I tell, like, especially newer agents, there's that question, there's that comment way in the back of your head that you're like, I don't want to ask that because it's going to get awkward, it's going to get weird, they might get mad. That's the one you have to ask. That's the one that is going to sell the house.
Mm-hmm. And there's the Icks.
Yeah.